Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to set up a Linux subsystem inside of Windows, and this is useful in case you want to have a Linux environment to develop programs in, but you don't have a Linux machine or a Mac, or you don't want to install a dual boot. And to do this, the first step is going to be to open up PowerShell. And when you open up PowerShell, you want to make sure you hit Run as Administrator, and then just hit Yes on your administrator. And then the only thing you'll have to run in PowerShell is a short command, and that command just enables PowerShell inside of Windows. And then once it's finished running, it should say successful. And so now you can go ahead and close PowerShell. And next up, you want to install a subsystem. To do that, just open up your Microsoft Store, and you can search Subsystem. And then you can do any one of these. For this one, I'm just going to use Ubuntu 20.04. And then go ahead and hit install. Okay, so once it finished installing, you want to go ahead and hit launch. And then this might take a few minutes, so I'm going to pause the video. Alright, so once it finishes installing, go ahead and type a Unix username. So for me, I'm just going to put my name, Eddie. And then it'll ask you for a password, so you can put any password that you would like. And then just type that password again. And then once you finish that, it'll do some little prompts, and then you'll be done. Your subsystem is ready to use. But before we finish, I'm going to walk you through some things that you should probably install in a new subsystem. So first up, you want to update and upgrade everything on your subsystem. To do that, you want to do sudo apt-get apt-get update, and then just type in your password. And then let that finish running. It might take a while. Alrighty, so once that finishes, you want to type sudo apt-get upgrade. And the difference between these two commands, it'll ask you to, if you want to continue, and go ahead and type yes. But the difference between these two commands is that update downloads all the packages and upgrade installs them. Alright, so now that once that's done, it should be ready to set up some more things. So first off, what I'm going to install is C and C++ compiler. So you guys are probably familiar with GCC, but Ubuntu didn't come with it pre-installed, so we have to install that. To do that, you just do sudo apt install GCC. It's going to ask you to continue and hit yes, and then give it a few seconds and it will download. Alrighty, so once you got the green line again, you should be able to type, and you type GCC -- version, and it should be successful. And G++ is probably the same thing. Alright, so mine did not work installing, and it's important to note this in the workshop because you might run into this issue later. But to fix this, you can type sudo apt get update -- fix -- missing. And this will make sure everything is installed that needs to be installed. And go ahead and run sudo apt get upgrade again. It should take significantly less time because it has already run once. And we should be able to try to install G++ again. And now this time you can see that it worked. Cool. So the next thing we're going to go through is Vim. Vim is a pretty powerful text editor that is pre-installed in Ubuntu. Just to make sure it's installed, you type Vim version, and it said something, so that means it's installed. And to use Vim, you can type Vim, open up a blank document, or you can type Vim and then your document name. So I'm going to say text.txt, and it'll open up a document named text.txt. And to start editing in Vim, you have to either press I or A. And the difference between I and A is I inserts before the character you highlighted, and A inserts after the character you highlighted. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit A, and I can type hello world. And then I can hit escape to stop editing. And then to save a document, you have to either hit :W, and it'll save it, or you can hit :X, and it'll save and close it. And to open the file back up, you can type vim text again. And then let's say you open up on something on accident and you don't want to save it, you can just hit :Q, and it'll close it. And then now let's say you accidentally mess up on hello world and put a random character, so you're like, oh no, I didn't know what I messed up. You can hit escape and then :Q exclamation point, and that forces the file to be closed without saving. And Vim's very powerful. Let's say you have another document, so I'm just going to hit touch text2.txt. So I have two text files, and then I'm going to open up the first one again. And so let's say you want to edit these at the same time. What you can do is you have :vsplit, and what this does, or vsplit, and then you have to put the file name, so text2, and they'll have both side by side. And now you can see that I am editing inside this new file. And to switch, what you have to do is hit Control W and then an arrow key, and you'll go over to the next one, and then Control W and the other arrow key pointing towards the file you want to go to. And to close, you can hit :X, save and close, and then :Q, because we didn't edit that one. And so that was basically a basic intro to Vim. It's a very powerful editor. It's the one I prefer inside of Linux, but there's also Nano, which I'm not too familiar with, but Vim is more intuitive for me. Okay, so moving on, we are going to talk about using Git inside of a Linux environment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a directory using mkdir and say workshop, because this is a workshop. And we're going to change it into that directory. And now I have a directory that I can put a Git in. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to do Git init. And that'll start a Git repository inside of this. And then I'm going to go into GitHub. And then you can make an account for free, it's pretty easy. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new repository right here. And then I'm going to call it Linux Subsystem Workshop. And then you can make it public or private. You can put a description if you like, and you can also initialize it with a readme, git.ignore, and a license, but we're not going to do that. And then now you have a repository set up. And so I'm going to copy this line right here for later, but then I'm going to go back into Ubuntu, and then what we're going to do is we're going to generate an RSA key. And to do that, you just type SSH-keygen, and then -T RSA, which is a type of encryption, and then -B, and then 4069. And what you want to do here is put -C and then your email. And so for me, my email is my main email, not my Clemson email, so type my full email out. Make sure it's in quotes. And then you can hit enter, and then enter, and then enter. And now it generated a RSA key inside of your SSH directory. To that, you can cd into .ssh, and then you can do ls to list everything. And the file you want is this ID RSA pub. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go onto our desktop. We're going to open up File Explorer. And so one problem you might encounter with a subsystem is that you want to transfer files between your Linux machine and your Windows machine. And one of the easiest ways to do this is go into your File Explorer, go to your C drive, and then find Users, and then go to your account, and then scroll down to App Data, and then go Local. Scroll down to Packages. There it is. And then you want to go through this and find the one that is your subsystem. So for mine, it's kind of weird, but it says Canonical Group Limited Ubuntu. And you can go and click on that. And then here, this is all the documentation, or all the files for the Ubuntu subsystem. And so what you want to go into is your local state, and then the root FS, which stands for root file system. And then right here, this is the entire file system for Ubuntu. So we're actually going to go back up, and then we're going to right click on this and go down to create shortcut. And we're going to take this shortcut and put it right on the desktop. And then I'm just going to rename it to Ubuntu. And now I have access to the file system for Ubuntu. And we can go into Home, Edit, and then SSH. And we're going to take this .pub and copy it and paste it. Okay. I'm just going to drag it. It's being moody. There we go. And now we have this file. And what we're going to do now is we're going to open this file with Notepad. And then when you do that, you want to copy all the contents of this file, and then take it and go back to your GitHub, open up your profile, or actually we're going to go to settings. Settings, go to SSH and GPG keys, hit new SSH key. I'm going to call this one Ubuntu, and then we're going to paste that key in there, and add SSH key, and you have to verify with your password, and then there you go, you have a new key added. So you can go back to your repositories, and then open up this one, and then we're going to copy this again, and then open up Ubuntu, and then we're going to go back into our home directory. To do that, you can do CD and this tilde. We're back in your home directory, and then so once we have our key generated, we are going to set up our GitHub. So to do that, we're going to our repository on this machine. So we're going to do git. Initially, we're going to do git config. You have to do this the first time you set up or use Git on a Linux environment, and after that, you don't do this again. We're going to do git config global, and then user.name, and then in quotes, just put your name. So I'm going to put my full name, and then next, it's not going to say anything. That means it works. So you can do git config global user.email, and then I'm going to do my email. And then lastly, we're going to do git config global core.editor. And this is kind of where Vim comes into tie with this. And you can use any editor you want, but I'm just going to use Vim. And for this one, you don't have to put in quotes, you put Vim. And there you go, you're good. So once we have that set up, you can see on the side where it has, or on GitHub right here on the side, where it has all these commands. You can start at Git. We already get Git in it, and we can do the README, comment, branch, and all this now. So we're going to do a README. We can do git add README .md. That's not right. .md. And the problem is that we don't have it yet, so we have to make a README. So to do that, you just type vim README .md. And then you can type in it. So I'm going to say test. And then we're just going to save and close that with :x. So what we want to do now is make sure we're back into our workshop directory for our Git in it. And then we want to make a README. To do that, we just type vim. And then we can do, I did not mean to enter, vim README .md. And you can just type in here. So I'm going to type test. And then I'm going to use :x to save it. And now we have that. We can do git add README, and now it's added. Now we want to do git comment -m. You can put anything you want here, so I'm just say first comment like GitHub says to, but anything will work. And then the next, we want to make sure we're in the master branch, so we do git branch -M and then master. And after that, we can do git remote add origin master. Or origin, sorry, and this is where we want to copy this right here and to paste. And to paste in a Linux subsystem, it's pretty easy, just to right click and it'll paste automatically. And then once we get that, we can do git push u origin master, and then type yes for this just one time, and then it's pushed. And if you look right here, it's asking about the RSA key. What we did earlier is allowed this, so once we try to push from this machine, we won't have to type in our username and password every single time. It just does automatically because we added this device as like a trusted device. And so I think with that, that's going to be the end of this workshop. I hope you enjoyed this, and or if you have any questions, go ahead and reach out to us at cohackit@gmail.com, and happy hacking.